fucks left. No, no. I have no fucks, right? Oh, oh. I have no fucks left. No, no. So fuck off. I'm busy. Bye bye. Piss off. Not sorry. Don't cry.
Help. I need somebody. Help. Not just anybody. Help. You know I need someone.
I have no fucks left. No, no. I have no fucks, right? Oh, oh.
Welcome to No Fucks Left, the podcast for people who've clapped at too many curtain calls, cried over too many cast lists, and officially run out of patience, propriety, and polite applause. That's right, it's an all-new episode of No Fucks Left with your host, Landyn Shaw. And that's me. I am her. She is I. And that intro was compliments of ChatGPT. First, let's get to the most important business, which is the word of the day.
What's the word? The word of the day. What's the word? What will
Our word of the day today is very unique and one that I don't ever use, at least I haven't, which is why I even looked it up. But I think it's a perfect word to encapsulate what it is that I'll kind of be talking and discussing today. So the word of the day is benefaction. Benefaction. I can't get no. Benefaction. Using in a sentence, the generous benefaction Landyn received from her fans and friends was primarily responsible for her career and success. I am manifesting that right now. So the word is benefaction. Hopefully after this episode, I receive tons of benefaction from all my lovely friends, fans, and audience members. So you know what to do. Every time you hear the word benefaction, and you will hear it a couple of times, sing, dance, laugh, go crazy, celebrate this wonderful community, celebrate your lives, celebrate the fact that the sun is shining and you still have a pulse, and just cut it up a little bit. Have some fun. Go crazy.
I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get me no satisfaction. And I try, and I try, and I try.
On today's episode, we're going to kind of piecemeal this into three different sections. Section number one, story time. I am going to share a story, something I recognize that I need to do more of and be better about. And so I will talk about that. Part two, then, is me doing something that is very challenging for me and very difficult for me and has been difficult my entire life. But I feel no other choice than to do this because I feel somewhat kind of backed into a corner and I'm just on my wit's end. So that's part two. And then part three, which is what I'm actually kind of most excited about, is that AJ is back with an all new segment of AJ's Hot Takes. All new, brand new. A few hot takes from AJ. It's been a while and I was so ecstatic to have him back, not only on the team as the associate producer, but to get him back with his hot takes. So that's this episode, divided into three, basically. And we'll start first with a little story time from Landyn.
Who wants to hear a story in all its glory? Landyn has a story. Gather friends listening. It is time to begin a story. It's story time.
If you're a regular listener to the show or you're in my life, you know that because I mention it a lot, am writing a memoir. And I have enjoyed it so much and I continue to enjoy it. We're in the editing phase. I am working with a phenomenal editor, publisher. She owns her own company. She also happens to be a dear childhood friend of mine, who we kind of, as is often the way in life, you are really, really close. You grow up together, you go to school together, etc., and then you drift apart or you go separate ways. And then sometimes those lovely relationships can kind of come back together. And that's what's happened in my case. Luckily, through Facebook and other platforms, I've been able to do that with many people, and I really have enjoyed it. But this person in particular has been very important to me in my life, not only back in the day, but even now. She's been my biggest champion. She's constantly holding my hand, encouraging me to write this memoir and be authentic and find my voice. And it's been so thrilling and so therapeutic, actually, on many levels. I encourage all of you, even if you don't ever want to write or if you have no plans of ever publishing a memoir, I do think there is some huge benefits to it, especially if you're of a certain age. The ability to look back and kind of connect the dots and see where you came from and these things that maybe were traumatic elements of your childhood or throughout your life that you kind of have pushed away, like I have. I'm very good at compartmentalizing. In some instances, the act of writing the memoir and knowing that, in my case at least, an audience, hopefully many people, will be reading this book and they'll have more questions beyond just my story. For me, I put everything into theater. It's all I ever wanted. And in looking back and connecting the dots, it's for many reasons. I found my community. As human beings, we are always trying to find our community, our people, the people that we feel safe with. And for me, that was theater. And it continues to be theater. I've always, not always, but for the most part, have felt seen and heard, and that I have a place, and that I feel safe, and that I feel respected, and I feel like I contribute a lot to. And at least for me in my life, because of my childhood and because of my background, because theater gave me so much, I gave it so much. I gave every ounce of energy I had to this craft and this artistic expression in this medium. And I have no regrets. Well, I have one, which will lead here to part 2 about asking for help. But for the most part, I have no regrets. I feel bad that at times my career, because it's a unique career, did not allow me to be with my family over the summer for like my dad's milestone birthday. And that did happen. It didn't allow me to go to all the graduations and things like that. And those of you that are in the theater industry know that that's unfortunately one of the things that comes with it. It's not a normal job where you can be like, oh, hey, I'm going to call in and just, have another employee cover my shift today. That's obviously not what we do. So I give 100% to this thing that I love. And for the most part, it's always there for me. It never lets me down until it does. And there have been several situations where it's let me down. I think I'm currently kind of in the midst of one of those. And again, that ties into more what I'll be talking about here in part 2. But so the story of this leads to then it's now, let's say 2006. And I am at this point, 2006, I'm 33 at this point. I get an opportunity along with my wife, the professor, to be the co-artistic directors of this wonderful equity summer theater. And we went down, we saw the facility, we met some of the people and instantly fell in love. It was so charming. We both were really ecstatic to be able to work together in this capacity and do what we love and have a summer kind of away from home, just, everything that would come with a summer stock situation. In my world, summer theater to this day is still one of my favorite things and kind of experiences that we have in terms of just what that brings and what can happen in a summer from, just the bonding and hanging out with everyone and working tirelessly to produce, 5, 6, 7 shows in an entire summer. It's crazy, but I tell my students, and I tell others, that I feel if you can do summer stock and you can do children's theater tours, which is theater for young audiences, if you can do those two things and do it well and you love it, and you really, you understand the power of that and all the benefits that can come from that, and you truly explore all the different facets and opportunities there, you can do almost anything. I believe if you survive those two things and you love it and enjoy it. And so that's kind of has always been my kind of sense, and what's guided me is that if I can get through a summer stock season, if I can get through a children's theater tour, like these are kind of the more difficult experiences and things that we have in our industry. So I take a lot of pride in summer theater and summer stock theater. And this was right up my alley. I was a kid in a candy store. This is exactly what I wanted. And together, my wife and I and our amazing company that we assembled, many of which I am still very close to and are still very much a part of my life, it was thrilling. It was a wonderful summer. It gave us everything we wanted and more. We brought a lot of success to the company. For the first time, they finished in the black, meaning they finished with money in the bank. They weren't in the hole. That was the first time this company has ever done that. We instituted a lot of great changes that were necessary in terms of just like the layout of the actual physical structure. The theater space itself was not being used in a very efficient or necessarily like kind of proper manner, if you will, and just kind of being similar to what the industry and what other theaters, do. Like they had a green room that was right off the stage, like literally just right off stage left, that they used for a green room. But as they were telling us this, they were like, but it's so noisy and we constantly have to tell everyone to be quiet and we constantly have to worry about da, da, da. And I was like, oh, well, you have this whole basement downstairs. Why isn't the green room down there? Or why, why do you put up with that? So those are the kinds of things where we were like, oh, okay, you did this because of this. And this is how things normally are done. So we'll kind of just implement that and everything will be good and everyone will be great with it. And they were. Like, again, at the end of the summer, there were always some pushing and pulling and bumps and bruises and people kind of reluctant to change. That happens everywhere and you get really used to that. But for the most part, that summer ended wonderfully. Everyone was very excited. The town was excited. It was a win-win. And then some shit happened, unfortunately. And I'm not going to give you all the details, and I do kind of go into this a little bit in the memoir, but the main reason I'm telling this story is because of how it happened in a world that I didn't expect it to happen in, being theater. In these summer stock situations, a lot of times, most of the time, they're nonprofit organizations, and they have a board of directors that are comprised of people in the community that enjoy the organization, obviously, and maybe have some kind of status in the community as well. And this is important for fundraising, for getting new people involved, et cetera, et cetera. It all makes sense. So unfortunately, what happens is, even though you're doing theater, and in the world of theater, we love diversity, we love embracing individuality and uniqueness and artistry and all this stuff. Like, that's what theater wants, and how it thrives and how it exists is by tapping into this. If you have a board of directors or an organization in a community, especially that is considered conservative or considered very a religious community where there's a lot of churches and the community is bonded very tightly with religion and spirituality, sometimes that can, kind of bump and get banged around when it comes to theater, because those two worlds don't always align, To give you an example, the executive director and kind of our main point person at this theater was very quick to tell us once we were hired and into the process of casting and hiring, hey, just make sure that you always tell those that are in our company that are gay to stay within the city limits. that I can't guarantee their safety outside of the safety limits, city limits. And, it's just really important. And this is 2006, like I said. So like, that's one of the first things we're kind of told to pass on to our company. That just gives you a sense of the vibe of this community. It's a very rural community. It's a small college town, but the state itself is very conservative. Even back then, very red, very conservative, etc. But there again, there's this successful summer theater that's been there for a long time. And so somehow it worked, right? That's at least what you're thinking. So afterwards, long story short, they find out about me. They find out who I really am, because at this point in 2006, I was coming out for basically the second time, if you will. The first time being when I first found out I was intersex in Chicago, and I worked with therapists and people in my life to kind of explore that and look into that and see, is this a path for me? Is this something I can do? Is this what's been missing in my life? Is this how I can finally feel whole? So that was time number one. And then many situations and circumstances worked against me being able to fully enter into that. And I found myself pseudo back in the closet and giving up on happiness and living authentically. The second opportunity came when I left Chicago and moved to a new location. And I was kind of like, okay, I don't know anyone here. I'm starting anew. Let's see if this is the way to do this. And I was very happy with that choice because I wasn't necessarily hurting anyone. I wasn't rocking the boat. I wasn't making it anyone else's problem but my own. And I'm not saying that anyone has said, oh, this is a problem, although many people have. But within my life, very few have made it about themselves. But I'm saying for myself, there's been a lot of guilt, and there always was a lot of guilt with, oh, how does my being happy and how does my living authentically impact other people's lives? And that's what kind of led to the first attempt at this not working and not coming to fruition and not being successful, is that I took it upon myself to be like, you know what, this is just a me problem and I'll just keep it a me problem and all is well. No, nothing to worry about here, everyone. Just kidding. Okay. So I moved to where I did at this time, to a new city, new location, etc. And I was like, okay, I can't hurt anyone. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to be my authentic self. Let's see what happens. And at this point, blogs were popular. There wasn't really a lot of communities online still for the trans or intersex community in terms of just getting answers, etc. So I started a blog because I love writing. And it was very private. It was not listed as a public blog. It was very guarded. And I really was just doing an online journal at first, just sharing what my life was like and what I was experiencing and all of this, hoping that I could find others like me and find, again, my community. So it was all very private. And once my wife, the professor, and I were definitely together in a relationship and we knew we had a future, I informed her. She knew about it. She knew about the blog. And again, it was very private. Well, unfortunately, one of the cast members in that season knew about the blog because that person was a friend of ours and was, in and treated me well and with respect. So it wasn't a big deal. I didn't think that her knowledge of it would then lead to others. I'm naive. Yes, I'm very gullible. I always think the best of people. I didn't think this was going to be a problem. This person, this other cast member, equity cast member, found out about my blog and was pissed off at primarily me, somewhat my wife, but really pissed off at me. And it was literally because of how I directed a show that she was in. She was the star of. And I'm trying to kind of talk in code because I just don't need this to rear up right now. So she was the star of the show. My concept for this show was quite different than what most people would do. I was very upfront about that. I made sure to ask her many, many times, like, you're cool with this. Like, this is how I'm doing it. This is what I see in this character. This is how we're going to do it. And we're going to work together to make it work. But I promise you, I've done my research. I've really thought long and hard about this. And this is what I believe. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh, yes. That's what I want. I want a challenge. I'm so into that. Well, she wasn't. And it was a disaster. She made that experience a living hell to the point that normally every show I direct, I will go and see as many performances as I can because I love it. I love just everything about it. And on this one, after opening night, I was so disheartened. I was so hurt. I was so taken aback that I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to see any more of those shows or those performances. And I just kind of stayed back. So the end of the summer, everything's good. Community loves us. We love them. We love the theater, all that. And this person, because of having just out of spite a problem with me and how I directed the show, said, no, I'm not just going to let this go. And ended up sharing my blog with the board of the theater that then spread throughout the community, obviously, because everyone loves salacious, things like this. And again, this is really before social media, because like 2006 was just on the cusp of, I think I literally heard about Facebook that next summer when my wife and I were running our own summer theater company because of this situation. And we hired another great friend of ours who we worked with at this theater. He came into town to see our show, visit with us, hang out, and was like, hey, you should get on this thing called Facebook. So this is prior to Facebook, where blogs are really popular, and the aspect of me having a blog and what was on there, which again was very few pictures and then just stories, just kind of my feelings and what was happening and what I was going through in my life. There was nothing salacious, nothing X-rated. If you don't know this about me by now, know that I am very much a prude and I am very square, very square. I do not fit the traditional motif or flavors of what most would think of when they think of someone in the queer community. Like I am the nerd in the queer community, and I accept that fully. That's always been who I am. And so there was nothing X-rated on this blog. There was nothing really shocking. It was just, hey, my name's Landyn. I found out a few years ago, at this point in 2006, it was just a few years prior to that I'm intersex, and I tried, to figure out what that was and wasn't able to, and now I'm trying again, and I'm just reaching out and I'm just asking questions, and I just need support. Well, apparently this was too much for the board, too much for the community, and when all was said and done, after several months of discussions and talks and I was presented by the president and vice president and executive director of this company. I was presented with a document that basically said, I sign over my rights, if you will, to talk about this, to share my story, to engage in conversations. I will sign this document that forfeits me from being able to talk to anyone about this should I be asked, and instead have to refer them to the board, and the board will answer questions and will handle this. So they wanted me to sign over basically my life rights and the rights to my life and my story to this board of directors, whom I was not really close to, was not friendly with necessarily. Some I was, but not everyone. And that was a no. No, that's not happening. And we really went through it. Like, we talked it out, and I said, I remember saying specifically, you mean that if someone, anyone, kids, parents, whomever, even people that I'm close with, like that are my friends, because by this point, we're tight with certain families, and we're already planning things and doing outings throughout the year and stuff because our daughter is the same age as theirs. And like, we met some amazing people that, again, are still in our life today. I was like, so if they come up and ask me a question about me, I am supposed to say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. You need to go to the board. And they were like, yes. If you are caught talking about this, if you put out any information that is immediate grounds for termination, can't even say it. And I said, no. Not going to happen. I will not sign this. I don't know that my wife would want me to sign this. Babe, would you want me to sign this? No? Okay. We're not signing this. I am not giving you this power. That's ridiculous. I can't believe you even think this is something that makes sense. But they did, and I didn't sign it. And so we were terminated. That was it. Done. No matter how much money we brought to the community, no matter how much great work we did, it literally came down to, you are trans or intersex or what have you, and our community is not going to be happy about that. And so we need to be the buffer. We need to take this on, and we need to answer the questions, and we need to worry about the community, and you just do your thing. You just direct your shows. You just make things happen, and we'll take care of that. I'm in my 30s, but are you fucking kidding me? No. So terminated. So my wife and I started our own summer theater within months, and we opened successfully in another town that was kind of not even close to being like what this town was in terms of college. It was just touristy, et cetera, and we were very successful. And we got to do that for a few seasons until 2008 when the housing market tanked and we lost our donors and our sponsors, et cetera. Now that entire situation there, and there's a lot more to it, and so much so that when I was writing my memoir, that from start to finish, everything that happened with that, all the discussions, all the kind of the backlash took up 2 humongous chapters to the point that I was like, oh my God, I cannot include this in my memoir. It's really, here's some details, and then here's this horrible chapter of my life, 2 chapters in the book, that have traumatized me in so many ways, traumatized my family, traumatized my wife and I together. Like, I can't write a memoir and have this be, the main part of it, like 100 pages of my memoir is this. But that's to illustrate how horrible this situation was in my life. It really, it haunts me still to this day. It was nasty. The vitriol that stemmed from it, all the issues that stem from it. I'll tell part 2 another time. Part 1 of this story is that situation with the board, and then part 2 is everything that happened afterwards, even after we were terminated. And it scarred me. It scarred me really, really bad. And it made me go right back into the closet. It made me realize that my happiness was not important, that ultimately, if I were to just, basically the kind of bargain that was before me, I thought was, okay, you can be happy, you can be you, this is who you are, you can live authentically, your wife will support you, your daughter will support you, but that's really probably about it. You won't work, clearly, because you just got fired for being this. So you're not going to work. You're not going to be in this industry that you sacrificed and gave everything towards and for. You're not going to be able to have that. You're going to have to figure out how to make your own way in this world. But you get to be happy. You get to be authentically you. And it just did not seem to make sense at the time for me. Knowing obviously what I know now, I wish I could have gone back to that period and said, do it, Landyn, do it. Like, it's worth it. It's worth it to be true to who you are. And everything else will hopefully fall into line. But I didn't. I went back into the closet. I took the blog down, and I just was like, fuck it. I'll be a man. and I'll be Landyn, and everyone will be happy with that, and I'll get jobs, and I'll continue to get to work in theater. And I did. Everything was fine until it wasn't. Again, until I'm diagnosed with Parkinson's a few years later after that. And then Parkinson's was kind of like, oh, yeah, this is going to impact your career. And I heard through audition rooms, at auditions, I would hear casting directors and producers and directors say, well, I want to cast Landyn, but the Parkinson's, like, that's a big risk. And I'm like, I'm sitting on the other side of the wall as a union member going, I don't think you're allowed to say that. I think, is that, you're not allowed to do that. Like, I don't think that's right. We got problems here. And so that led to a whole bunch of things, and in short, how my wife describes having a relationship or being involved in theater is kind of an abusive relationship. And she's right about that. There's been several times where it's knocked me down hardcore to the point where I'm like, fuck this. I got to think of something else. And then I go, oh, wait, I don't know how to do anything else. I've put all my eggs into this fucking basket. This is all I know. This is all I've ever wanted to do. This is the only thing that makes me feel like I have a purpose and that I have abilities, that I excel at this. That's how I feel. And that's how I felt back then. I still feel that way. That while it's never smart to put all your eggs in one basket, if you have to, which I did and feel like I kind of had to, it forces you, whether you like it or not, to appreciate it more, to understand it more. And that's what happened with me. I was a quote unquote multi-hyphenate theater artist before being a multi-hyphenate theater artist was in vogue or acceptable. One person that I respect greatly said to me one time when I applied for a job, Landyn, very impressive resume, so many great things. You work nonstop, you do everything, but to me it just looks like you don't know what you want to do. And I was like, well, no, that's not actually the case. I just want to do it all. Like if there's not a place for me in a show, then I want to direct, or I want to work in the box office, or I want to work on the design team. If in a whole season you need me to jump from job to job to fill different holes and different gaps, and that means I can have long-term employment, great. And that's kind of how I approached it. You've heard me saying in the interviews, yes, I wanted to get to New York, but I wanted to get to New York kind of on my terms, or when New York was ready for me. That's how I kind of said it. Because many of my friends and colleagues and people that I was working with would move to New York. I'd check in with them months later, and they'd be like, oh, I haven't been able to go to one audition yet, or I haven't been able to take a class, or I haven't been able to do this because I have my restaurant job, and then I have my copywriting job, or I have my editor job, or whatever, like, temp jobs basically, just to pay for my rent, just so I can live here. And, granted, that wasn't everyone, obviously, but for the most part, I was hearing that, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm from Chicago. Chicago's a great city. Why don't I be based out of Chicago, and then I can travel, I can build my resume, I can get credits, and then get to New York or the West Coast when they call, basically, or when, I'm finally able to have the credits and the connections and the network to get there. So that's how I did my career. I'm not saying it's right. I'm certainly not saying it's wrong, though, because from basically the time that I graduated high school, went to college, left college to go do my first professional theater job, I really haven't done anything other than theater. So that's pretty remarkable. And, when people say, oh, have you been on Broadway or whatever? I used to be, no, not yet. I hope so. And now I just kind of go, no. And if I don't get there, I'm okay with that. Like, in my world, that doesn't, much like Chad Beglin said in one of my first episodes, he has no fucks left about winning a Tony. Like, that Tony Award is not going to do anything for him and how his family views him. Like, they're still going to see he's successful. I kind of felt that same way about, like, oh, Well, if I don't get to New York or Broadway, I don't know that I would feel like I failed then, or that I feel like I missed out on anything, because I could be in a Broadway show tomorrow and that show could close after 2 days, and then I can never be on Broadway again. And in my mind, that almost stung worse, or was worse to think about than not getting there. Again, at least for me. Not saying this is applicable to your local government in terms of their arts programs and arts funding programs and kind of how they're established. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing how all of these huge institutions, when it comes to arts organizations, are now getting involved, not because they want to, but they're getting pulled into politics, and they're getting pulled into, hey, we need you to basically not be quote unquote woke, in their words, or diverse, or be so open, or have such a loving, spirit and sense and community about you. We need you to not do that. And remember, we control the finances, or we control a large part of the finances. And so that's what's happening. And this leads then to where I am at in my life, and where I have been since COVID especially, but since really kind of taking this giant leap. And that leads to me having to do something that I'm not really good at, and I never have really wanted to do per se. And that's ask for help, or ask for favors, or ask for people to kind of open some doors for me. I had a lot of pride, and still do, throughout my career, that 90% of my career, if not more, was of my own making. It was me hustling, not relying on nepotism. Not that nepotism's bad, but not relying on nepotism, not relying on someone bumping me to the head of the group. I did it myself. I pounded the pavement myself. I networked. I did what you need to do to get ahead, because that is a part of this industry, no matter what. But I didn't do it to the way that I saw others around me doing it, because ethically that just didn't work for me. I saw people, not to get dramatic, but for lack of a better phrase, like I saw people sell their souls at some points throughout my journeys to just get ahead, or to sell out who they were, or to sell their moral compass, or what have you, to get ahead. And I get it. I understand why one would do that. I do. It's a very difficult business. I'm sure it happens still to this day on many levels and in many different industries. That just was not for me. It didn't work for me.
Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. Gonna try with a little help from my friends. What do I do when my love is away?
Part 2. Benefaction. Benefaction, the word of the day. That's what this segment is all about. I need help. I need benefactors that will share with me some benefaction, because I'm feeling very alone, and I'm feeling very perplexed and getting very frustrated. So again, I'm 52 years of age, and for a long time in my career, I relied on being able to primarily act and perform, and then eventually direct, which I did a lot, and teach. And between the Parkinson's, that put a hamper on my performing abilities, or at least in my immediate area, because I was in a somewhat smaller market, and so the jobs were not going to be as readily available to me as a union member. And then if you're working in a smaller, kind of more tighter theater community, it's harder to break in as a director or artistic director, or in those leadership positions, because at least where I'm at, a lot of our theater companies are managed and run by the person who founded the company. And back in the day, they maybe performed at a strip mall or a church or what have you. Now they're in a nicer facility in some instances, which is great. But they have their staff. There's not going to be a need for a staff. There's not going to be the need for a new artistic director, etc. So the jobs that I feel all of these skills would make the most sense in helping me as far as different positions like director, artistic director, executive director, etc. Most often, as in most industries, you're not going to get that position unless you've done it before. So I've been an artistic director of summer stock theaters, several of them, to success. I feel very comfortable. But for the most part, no one is going to accept me or look at me as their first choice as an artistic director at like a regional theater or let's say a dinner theater or something like that because, you know, and it makes sense again, like you're not going to hire some person to, let's say, run your restaurant if they've only been a cook or they only ran a small mom and pop restaurant with 5 tables and now, you know, they're trying to say, hey, I can run this restaurant with 500 tables and a party space and an event space. Like you would be reticent to go, oh, so you think that your skill set from the little small mom and pop shop that you ran is applicable to this major corporate entity where there's many moving pieces. And again, like I said, I could see where one would be like, yeah, that doesn't translate. But if you went beyond that and you looked at the person and you saw what they did and you saw how ambitious they were and you saw all the things that they brought to that small little mom and pop restaurant and how there was never an open table and there was a line out the door every night and the food quality was getting rave reviews and everyone was enjoying themselves from the staff to the patrons and guests. And it was just a great vibe, but that doesn't show up on a resume. And the only time that would ever come up to a prospective employer is if you're saying that. Now, there are some people that are really, really good at touting their strengths and, being able to talk about themselves in a way that is either not braggadocious or kind of conceited, but then also stresses and points out the things, their successes, the things they did, what makes them different from everyone else, etc. I have never been good at that. Never. I don't know why. There's this, I think, misperception, and it's not a wide misperception. It's not like I've heard this widely by people, but there are some people that I've come in contact with over the years that are like, oh my God, Landyn has such a huge ego. And it's somewhat laughable to me. Do I have an ego? Yes. You have to have an ego to be in this business. If you don't, I dare say that you most likely will not, it will hamper your success, I think. You have to have an ego of some sort. Have to. I am only confident when it comes to one aspect of this industry that I'm really, really, really good at, and that's directing. I am very good at directing, but it's the one area of our industry that is very difficult to get into. It's very difficult to make money from it. Even the very successful directors that I know of, that I've looked to in my life, that I've studied, they are working non-fucking stop. They're traveling the country, going from theater to theater, and that's exciting to me. I would take that life in a second. But it's very hard to get into that. It's just like it's very hard to get into writing and it's very hard to get into producing. So the jobs that are a little bit more accessible are stage management, company management, different admin positions, etc. And when you're a freelancer like I am, those jobs will most likely, unless you're in a really, really good geographic location or area, those jobs are going to take you away from your home. And that's what started happening. In 2011, most of the work that I was doing was taking me away from home. And so it really tested my relationship with my wife and family and who I was and how that would all work. And we made it work, you know, by some miracle, we made that work. And I'm so grateful for that. And, you know, to be in this business, I think there is a certain amount of selfishness you need to have. And I talk about this with, I think a friend of mine, Joe Cassidy, who the interview will be coming up here in an episode or two. But we talked about in that conversation about selfishness and how you need to be selfish when you're in this industry. It's just, again, one of those things. You need ego. You need to be able to be selfish. You need to be able to network. You need to be able to, you know, put yourself first sometimes. And again, it goes against everything that you're taught when it comes to being in relationships and when you're walking and moving through the world. Like those kinds of things, while necessary in our industry, don't always translate well to the real world. And that's why, for the most part, theater people hang out with other theater people. And we look out for each other because we know it's weird. And I'm sure, again, in many other industries where things are kind of unique, you find there's a band of brotherhood, a band of sisterhood, a band of camaraderie and community, because no one understands this quite like someone else that's doing it. That's why athletes hang out together, etc. So that all makes sense. So when I'm in these situations where I'm with my peers or I'm with others, I try to just keep it real. I don't ever like asking for favors per se. Like even with this podcast, it's been a lot for me to ask people in my own life that I've known for quite some time, hey, will you be a guest on my show? Like that was a big deal for me. And along the way throughout my career, I have worked with, and you've heard from many of them and will continue to hear from them, many spectacular people that are quote unquote famous or have achieved amazing things in terms of their art and their performances and their career. I've worked with some that you never maybe have heard their name, but in my opinion, they're the kind of North Star in certain situations of how to run an organization or how to lead an organization, but they're not household names. And so I have the gambit of people in my life, colleagues, friends, people I respect, et cetera, et cetera. And I've gotten better at reaching out to these people and just being like, hey, for example, Kristen Henge, director of Rock of Ages. She's about to direct Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion off Broadway. Someone that if you've listened to the show, you know I love and adore and just think she's the bee's knees. Doing this show and kind of having the confidence that I've been gaining allowed me to form just more of a relationship with her to a point that I think we have a friendship. We have an honest to God, beautiful friendship. I'm hoping the same comes from the wonderful Daisy Egan, who, you know, again, I reached out to for the purposes of the show to interview. And then I found, and I think we both found that through our conversation, hey, we could be friends. Like we should be friends. We should talk. We should hang out. And so that's been great. And when I get to a level of like friendship where I'm kind of at that situation, it's easier for me to maybe ask for help or to ask for small favors or to maybe put out, hey, do you know anyone who's happening to look for a director or company manager, what have you? I'm in between gigs or I'm really looking. Like I get to a point where I'm okay with that. And I feel I'm good asking for that. And I'll put on Facebook posts sometimes like, hey, friends in theater, Landyn's struggling. Landyn needs some help. You know, anyone, do you have any ideas? And sometimes people chime in and have ideas and resources, and that's all great. And again, I do think that there's a part of our industry that relies very heavily on that. That's why we put so much into networking and community and helping each. But now I'm at a point where I feel very alone. And so it's tough. And in the last year, I've applied for several jobs that, you know, I had a successful interview process. We're talking first, second, third, fourth interviews with the board, you know, kind of going through the gauntlet of what it's like to get some of these larger jobs, only to come up short. and never get any feedback, because that's just unfortunately what happens. You don't get feedback. You don't know what you did wrong. You hear the dreaded words, and this phrase, oh my God, I say it in hot takes, but it's true. I cannot stand the phrase, we decided to go another way, or we're pivoting, or something like that. It's like, like in this last job that I just applied for, this just really put a burr in my saddle and really got to me, was like, we decided to go another way. The position, the job description was there. What the position is was very much there, very clear. And it's very clear that my skill set and resume was perfect for it. How do you go a different direction with this position? I don't understand what that means. I just don't. Does that mean you went younger? You decided to hire an intern so that you could train them and they could do everything the way that you wanted them to do? That's how I understand that. If you're saying we go another way other than having someone who meets all the qualifications, who interviewed really well, who we know we can rely on, has worked for us before, which I have, and knows a lot of the same people, and just, is a good fit. We go another way. I just don't understand what that means. At any rate, what it leads to is me thinking oh shit. It's not a reflection of me per se, or my resume, or me needing something more. It has to be something else. And the only thing I can keep coming up with is, oh, it's because you're trans. And in this situation with this particular company, and I'm not saying this is what it is at all. So if this is played for anyone that knows what I'm talking about this company, I'm just saying this is where my brain goes to. Right, wrong, and different. This is where I'm sitting there thinking, oh, okay, so this organization is in a period of restructuring and shifting a bit. And in a time that nonprofits in our industry is very reliant on money and worried about money, are they worried that even though, yes, there is diversity in their casting and diversity in their season selections and things like that, are they worried that if they push it too much, if they become too diverse, i.e. have a full-time staff member that is trans, intersex, what have you, are they worried about funding? Are they worried about board members? Are they worried about community backlash? Are they worried about the federal government intervening and saying we saw that you have a person that uses pronouns and is, part of this woke agenda, we're going to cut your funding. Is that something that's happening? And because I know this industry and I know what it's like to run an organization, I can't help but feel that, yes, that is exactly what's happening. We're seeing it at a much larger level with commercial entities, with CBS and Paramount and the whole hullabaloo with Colbert and all of that. We're seeing it at universities where the federal government is squeezing and cutting off funding and money because they don't like how things are happening and what's happening in this business. And so there is a way, and there is a sense right now that if you are running a business, you have to think of the business, the organization, the entity, and you are in charge of protecting that entity. And it's forcing a lot of people, I think, to maybe look at things in a way that they normally maybe never have before, or having to do it and doing it reluctantly. I don't know. All I can tell you is that I've applied for many, many jobs in the last couple of years where I've made it very far in the process only to come up short. And then I'll ask for feedback. Every once in a while, I'll get some feedback. Oh, no, your resume was perfect. The interview was amazing. You're so passionate. We see it all. Oh, we just went another way. So the only thing I can keep coming up with in these situations is it's because I'm trans, or I'm intersex, or you might have a hunch and you're just not in a position to deal with. Maybe that's what's happening. And if it is, it's sad, and it's part of a greater conversation. But it's really, what it's doing for me is it's making me not be able to provide for my family. Not that my family is dependent on my salary. That's never been the case because I'm in theater. But it's certainly making things tough. It's certainly making paying bills tough. It's certainly making us be able, it's affecting our quality of life. Let's just put it that way. And then because I am going through a gender change, I had to redo my entire wardrobe. I've had to get procedures. I've had to pay doctors. So there's expenses attached to this too. And so I just feel like I'm drowning. I can't get a job. I can't get hired. So that impacts my quality of life, and it impacts my sense of purpose, and it impacts how I feel I'm being able to put my art and my passions and my talents into the world. So that's being impacted. It's impacting how I show up for my family and how I contribute and how I help us and everything like that. So it comes with a lot of fear and anxiety, and a sense of failing, honestly. And again, actors, stage managers, we're all used to having to check the job boards on a daily basis, sending out our resumes, knowing that 9 times out of 10, they'll never be open, they'll never be looked at. And we just accept that. And it's just one of those things. So when we do get that email or that call about an invitation for an interview, and that turns into a second and a third and a fourth, and we start to imagine, oh, this would be huge for me, and this would be, oh, I need this so bad. That has been a reoccurring thing in my life for the last 2 years, is where I've just felt like, oh, okay, I can taste it. This is the one. This is what all that bullshit was worth. And this is what we're leading to. And then I come up short again. And so it's just getting to me. And I kind of realized this summer anyway, when it came to the show, my media company, my quote unquote brand, that I was going to need help anyway, because I don't know how to do any of that. And so just as early as a couple of weeks ago, I posted on Facebook that if anyone in the industry was aware of a manager or an agent that specifically was looking for trans or intersex or non-binary artists, that they're good at building a brand around or what have you, like, I would love to talk to them. I have a memoir coming out. We have the podcast, all this kind of mapped out of what all of this looks like. I need help. And that was a big deal for me, truly. I'm, again, not someone that does that on the regular. Unfortunately, just posting that on Facebook with the algorithm and how it goes didn't reach many people. I didn't get any comments, any feedback. So then yesterday, after finding out about this last job that I didn't get and wasn't dragged around, but I was, I applied for this like 2 weeks ago. I was told I would have an answer before Labor Day. Then it came after Labor Day, and then to Friday. And again, in my mind, and maybe this is my problem, and I'm not saying it's right, but in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to get this job. So I don't have to worry right now about sending out resumes to all these other gigs, because I'm going to get this job and I won't have to do that anymore. Well, here we are. So on Facebook again last night, I post, hey, friends, if anyone knows of any fall, winter jobs, touring, residence theaters with housing and stuff like that, because I need housing, please let me know. And so there again. And those are the ways that I've gotten comfortable with asking for help or putting things out there. But I know I need more. So this is what I'm asking. I need benefactors. I don't need a handout. I will work very, very, very hard, always. I'm very proud of the work I do. I have a strong work ethic. I show up. I just need help. I need people to open up some doors for me. I need people to, get me connected to some people that can actually lift me up, because by virtue of where I live geographically, by virtue of my age, by virtue of the fact that I, have not worked at a high level in our industry per se, I've had spits and spurts and moments here and there. I haven't been able to do that on a regular basis. And so the well that I can go to for help and connections is relatively small. It's great and I love it. And it's helped me in many, many situations. But it's small. And so I need some doors to open up for me. I need a publicist. I need a manager. I need an agent. I need someone that can help me build the brand. Because what it's looking like more and more is, if I'm wrong about all these jobs and what's happening, great. But it's just seeming to come down to, Landyn, you got to do this for yourself. You've got to tell your own story. So, like I said, I have my memoir. I have the podcast. I'm trying to build these things. I don't have any capital really to back any of this up. Everything is just on our own. And I don't have the tools to create this. Sure, there's YouTube videos. Sure, there's TikTok videos. How to build a brand. People selling classes and think groups and stuff like that. A, I don't have the money. B, I'm 52 years of age. I know how to do it. I just need the people to help me do it. Like, I know what needs to be done at this point. So that is where the benefaction comes in. Our word of the day. I need benefactors. I need help. I need for the listeners, and it can happen on many levels. Because again, I'm not asking for financial help at all. I don't like that. And I'm not asking for anyone to do anything really huge. If you're sitting here listening within the sound of my voice, and you could just share this podcast on your social media channels, or you could reach out to someone that you're like, oh, wait, I know someone that used to be in the industry, that used to manage someone, and they kind of left the industry and they're freelancing or what have you, but I could reach out to them and give them a call because I believe they could help Landyn. That's all. Send me an email address. Send me a phone number. Put me in contact with someone. From a standpoint of being within the community, like the trans, intersex, non-binary community, I would love to guest on podcasts. I would love to share my story. I would love to build my brand in that way. So it can be as simple as connecting me with other podcasts or other content creators that are doing this work that I don't know, that I'm not connected with, but that just a simple introduction could change. I love that. Viewership, or listenership. If we build our audience, we attract advertisers. I'm totally fine with advertising. I love it. I think it's essential. I would love to be the spokesperson for some brands or do commercials for them. Start generating income. I'm not someone who wants to be rich or who ever imagined being rich, but I like taking care of myself. I love being able to eventually go on a vacation again. That would be lovely. And then I have some procedures, in all honesty, that I need to pay for that will make me not have dysphoria and will make me feel better about myself. And that takes money. I could use a stylist. I could use many things that I feel, and this is something that I don't say often, but I deserve. I feel like I kind of fucking deserve it. I feel like I deserve for some opportunities to present themselves, and that, I have a story to tell. I think I'm interesting, and I love my mind and art and the ability to produce art and to create art. And I just need some help. And that, like I said, that can look like many, many different things. And then on top of that, I need a community. I don't really have a large community of people that are like me, that are going through what I'm going through. I try to reach out to them. And in some instances, I'm reaching out to people that have a huge following already or are pseudo social media famous. And so I'm sure my messages and connections to them are not even getting read, So I just need some help. I need some people that can open some doors for me. I need some people that can, put me in contact with others that can open doors for me, et cetera, et cetera. And I know this may not seem like a big deal, but it is. I am not this person that does this. Like, there's a reason why you look back at the previous 31 plus episodes that I've done, and you don't hear me asking for a lot of help. And you don't hear me saying, oh, I deserve this, or I need this. For the most part, I've taken a lot of pride in the fact that my dad, especially, taught me how to be very independent and taught me that, yes, it's good to have friends and to lean on friends when you need to, but ultimately you only have yourself. And if you create success or you create a sense of who you are on your own, in the long run, people are going to respect that more, or you might have some more clout when it comes to people looking at your story. And that was just instilled in me at a young age. And so I'm very kind of almost stubborn when it comes to doing things on my own and attaining that success and knowing, like, yes, it took everyone, but for the most part, I'm here because of me. And that's just been very fulfilling to me. But now we're kind of seeing what the result of that is. And how do you like that pride now there, Landyn? Because I'm alone. I'm unemployed, not alone. I have a wife and family, but I'm alone in the sense that I don't have a huge network of other artists and colleagues readily available to me that I see on a regular basis. I see them in social media, emails, etc. So that's tough. And then dealing with being trans and intersex in this world right now, I knew it wasn't going to be a picnic, but it's certainly, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And it's a lot. It's really a lot on a daily basis. And so it's led me to get to this point where I'm just like, okay, I have no fucking clue. I have no idea how to make this work. And I'm starting to really get down on myself, and I'm starting to really go stir crazy because I don't know what's happening. And so I'm trying this. I'm trying to come on this microphone and hopefully see some results from this. If only one door opens, that will be huge. And that's all that matters, especially because you'll hear in the hot take segment with AJ in just a very short second here. You'll hear AJ say that the whole reason he is even pursuing something that was not in his life for a very long time was because of this show. So I do know this show has an impact and has a cause and effect, which I didn't necessarily know. I couldn't quantify that before. Now I can. So my hope is that through this vehicle, through this platform, I can benefit from being honest and being very forthright and just putting it out there and saying, your girl needs some help. Your girl needs some benefaction and needs some benefactors. And I would be most grateful. And my family would be most grateful. And I can then do more for my community, and then I can do more for myself, by proxy. Because that's all I really want to share my story more than for not my in personal reasons and benefit, but for the greater good. Like, I want to inspire, I want to lead, I want to be able to create a safe space. And so by me asking for help on an individual basis for myself, my hope is that then that multiplies and snowballs and allows me to be of bigger service and bigger help to a community that is in need now and will continue to be in need for a very long time to come. And so I'm going to try that. I'm just going to put that out there. I need some benefaction. I need some benefactors. And I could use some help. And I thank you very much. And let's move on to AJ's hot takes.
Time to get funky.
All right, friends, we have a very, very special treat for you. It's been a long time, too long, as a matter of fact, but he is here. Ladies and gentlemen, in the flesh, AJ with his hot takes. Hot takes. Hot takes. Too long.
It has.
Welcome back.
Well, welcome back to you as well. You went away for the summer.
Yeah.
You've been back in a minute now, but
Yeah.
but just in terms of show and whatnot.
Yes, I am
only
back.
a couple episodes back.
Into the zone. And I'm so glad that you're here. In case you didn't know, AJ is officially the associate producer now as well.
Oh.
Yes. Did you not see? doing your credits on the previous episodes.
No, I didn't. So this is
Yeah.
news to me, everyone, as well.
Well,
I'm
there we
associate
go.
producer.
It is the associate producer, AJ, with his hot takes. AJ, hot take number one. What you got?
Well, associate producer AJ, since it's been gone too long, we've got two hot takes. All right.
Excellent.
First one. Recently, we went to Mexico recently.
Yes.
Um, I know people go to Cancun all the time, and I thought I would not enjoy it. And so we didn't go to Cancun. We flew to Cancun. And I would absolutely recommend flying to Cancun and then getting on a ferry and leaving for Isla Mujeres.
Isla Mujeres.
Mujeres, yeah, it's a women's island.
Okay.
And yeah, we went for a week. It's a 30-minute ferry ride from Cancun.
Wow.
And so we went for a week and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Food was awesome, as you would expect. So it's a really small island. There's not many actual cars on it.
Nice.
There's some like taxis and whatnot, but we rented a golf cart for a couple of days. Most people travel around on golf carts or scooters, the locals.
Nice.
The north side of the island is where all of the restaurants are. So the north side of the island is like the tourist side of the island. South is where the locals live. Yeah, no, we went on a food tour, which took us to it was entirely on the south side of the island. And it was some dude who took us. He said, "We're going to go to three different houses. We want one of them was his." And then, yeah, we went to just, you know, experiences that I would never get in the States. In terms of, like one of the houses was, I, I mean, a shack, for lack of better words. But they
Wow.
had us in and fed us mole.
So are you staying at a resort there, or is it
We
like an
stayed,
Airbnb?
no, so there's all of the above is there. We
Wow.
stayed at, it's technically a hostel, but they
Okay.
have private rooms. And so we stayed there. It was on the beach, but not a swimmable beach. Yeah,
Okay.
you had to go a couple blocks for that. But
Yeah.
um no, really cool, really chill, plenty to get yourself into if you want to.
Yeah.
But we stayed for a night in Cancun, and I imagine everything happens, on what they call like the hotel zone or whatnot.
Yeah.
And outside of that, I don't know. It wasn't really bumping.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was comfortable because we spent the last night in Cancun, so we didn't get like stranded on the island the morning of
Nice.
our flight.
How did you hear about this? Because it seems like it's a little gem that not a lot of people really know about.
Just research.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to go to Mexico. That was, kind of not preferred, but somewhere with beaches
Now,
and
did you go to Mexico to try out for ICE? Is that what you were doing initially?
to try out as one of their detainees.
Yeah, or
Yeah, to
something.
make a list.
They're
Yeah,
constantly having auditions, it seems like, or job fairs and things.
yeah,
So
Dean Kane. Because
yeah.
I could go in with Dean Kane.
Yeah.
I saw he got hurt.
Oh my God. Did you see his training video? His training video in
Yeah,
quotes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Uh,
Very much so.
Dean Kane. Wow. The
Oh,
worst
Superman.
Superman. Yeah, the worst Superman.
Oh yeah. By a million miles. Yeah. What a loser.
Oh my
Anyways,
God.
no, I just think it's cool that I can only imagine, and I don't know a lot about foreign travel because I don't see that being in my cards anytime in the near future. So I don't really pay attention. But I can imagine that Mexico probably is going through it a bit. Like, granted, everything's happening here, but I can only imagine that there's a lot of fear down there as well. Did you sense that like at all?
Mm-mm.
Or no? Wow. Okay.
No, they're pretty removed from it, and nobody there. I mean, the people there aren't
No
like.
Home Depots, so they don't have to worry.
No, actually, that's not correct. There is a Home Depot. There's a
Yeah,
Home
on that
Depot.
island?
Yeah, there is a Home
Get out of
Depot.
here.
Actually, on the island, I don't know if there's one on the island. There is one in Cancun. You go by it.
Wow. Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
There's a Walmart.
Of course
Um,
there is. I
yeah.
heard Cancun
So
is very Americanized, like very Vegas kind of
yeah,
adjacent.
yeah, and it may be that was kind of
Yeah.
one of the reasons we didn't want to stay at an all-inclusive,
Yeah.
and that really is kind of all Cancun seemed to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that just wasn't what we were after. So, after some research and canceling a previous booking that we booked for like Isla Holbox or whatever, we, we landed on this one. Super happy. We definitely want to go back. Um,
Nice. Favorite meal there.
Oh man, so here, Jesus Christ. So our favorite meal that we had was actually our last night in Cancun,
Ah,
and it was a Japanese place.
wow.
It was fucking awesome. So Trisha is not a foodie, like an
Yeah.
anti-foodie actually is probably she hates eating out.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, and so hates that kind of experience.
Yeah.
And so she said she wanted sushi. I found this place. It was a walk from our hotel in Cancun. I'm like, well, whatever. We'll see. What's the worst that it could happen? And it was, I mean, we both said it was one of the, if not the best meal we've had in our relationship. It was so good.
Wow.
She was in love with it. They had um this cheesecake. It was called like the cotton candy cheesecake or something. I don't know, it was almost like an angel food cake.
Oh,
But oh, it was so fucking good. Um, yeah, the I can't remember exactly what we got, but the food just was ridiculously
what
good.
about the sushi made it so phenomenal? Like,
I don't
I
even think
don't
she
think
got
many
sushi.
people. Oh, okay. I
No,
was
she
gonna say
didn't
like,
even end up getting
okay,
sushi. Um, no, she got some raw fish meal, but
okay.
I can't remember what it was. And
Was it an
then,
authentic Japanese restaurant or?
oh yes, yeah, like this
Wow.
was very upscale. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it was cool. So that's and then on the island, there's a place called Al Natural, and that's a little
Is that the
uh
natural? Is that what
yeah
that stands for?
yeah like yeah basically. And so um
See, I'm bilingual.
well that's like
Duolingo.
yeah
Duolingo.
that's uh not a completely direct translation but close
I know.
enough.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, no little mom and pop owned place that had
Nice.
killer fucking food.
Nice. So is the ferry the only way off the island?
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm sure if you have money, like somebody will fly a helicopter in there, but
Yeah.
it
And
or
that how big was the island? Do you know, like
not big.
area miles or
Um, let's see here. Um, I'll look here, but no, it is very, very small.
while you're
So
looking
you
that up,
could,
I did want to say, speaking of golf carts and driving around in golf carts, if you ever miss that, you can always go to the Villages in Florida. Have you ever heard of that place?
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, I can't
like
go. I'm not anywhere
that's
near
true.
age.
That's true. But it's like the STD capital of the world,
I
or
believe
of
it.
the United States, at least. Yeah, yeah.
It's 1.6 square miles.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's small. Wow,
hmm
wow, wow. That's really, really cool. So you're
hmm
totally surrounded by the ocean. You're
hmm
surrounded by local culture and local food. And so it just seems like the perfect place if you just want to get away from kind of the touristy stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. You can still do plenty of the touristy stuff. Like we did the whale shark tour.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we went on a whale shark tour. That was the one I was telling you I got seasick on.
Yeah, but did
Uh,
you see anything?
well, I didn't because I was seasick. I was laying on the fucking deck of the boat.
Oh, that
But she
sucks.
did. She did.
What
So
did she see? What did
a whale shark.
Oh,
She
whale shark. Okay.
yeah, so it was so we dove in once. I went in the first time, got out, was sick as shit. And so she went in the second time and saw him
Okay,
and then
that's
swam with it for yeah. So anyway, you
no.
can still do plenty of that shit, but
Forget that. Forget that. I would never do that. No way. But I would go on the cruise. That's awesome. I've done some whale cruises and I love the experience. But I can see where if you're not used to it, you can get very seasick.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I got sick as shit. I took a Dramamine and everything.
How far out did you have to go from the island?
20 something miles.
Holy shit. Oh my
Mhm.
God.
Yeah, far. It was not
So
close.
you did not see land.
No, not no. It
Oh,
eventually,
oh no. No, 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 no. No, would not do that. No
yeah.
way.
Yeah, no, it was pretty far out.
Holy shit. Was it really rough, the waves?
Not fully, and so not really. I was fine the entire way out. It was once we got still is when I started getting sick.
And friends, there's just a funny little addendum I need to add to the story, and that is that AJ
hmm
served in the Navy. He was in the Navy. He was on a ship for how long were you on that one ship?
Oh, a couple years, and so
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
fucking
did a
long time.
deployment and everything. Wasn't seasick my entire time in the Navy, not once. But every
And he
time I've
goes
been
on
on
a
a
whale
small,
shark cruise.
yeah, but every time I've been on a small boat since then, well, I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
wasn't on any small boats while in there, but anyway, the point being, since then I've only been on small boats,
Right.
and every time
Wow.
I've gotten sick. Maybe once I didn't, but
Wow. Oh my
that
God.
was with Dramamine, so I got some patch that goes behind my ear for the
Yeah.
next time.
Ugh. All right. So, what is the name of the island again?
Isla Mujeres.
Isla Mujeres. If you're looking for a place in Mexico that's far from the tourists but is still quaint and cute, that is the recommendation. Out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
Mm, 4.5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So AJ says 4.5 out of 5 stars. Take
Yeah,
that,
I
Expedia.
really liked it. Yeah, the plenty of crystal clear waters out there.
Ah,
Plenty of yeah. If if water is what you like, yeah, that's
and
a place to
what was the
go.
temperature? What was the temperature like?
While we were there, and this was in August, it was floating mid 80s.
Okay. Okay.
But apparently
Bre-
the best time to go is in like January.
oh, I bet. Mid 80s though is not too bad. And then did it have a nice breeze at night or get cooler at night or
Mm-hmm. Yep.
okay.
A little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. Definitely required the AC in the hotel room.
Oh yeah. I
That
think
was
everyone required AC this past summer.
yeah,
Like,
that was definitely required because it wasn't anywhere else on the island.
yeah.
Anywhere you went, there wasn't any. So um,
Excellent. You got hot take number 2, my friend. What do you got?
hot take number two. Hot take number two. All right. So I was listening to your what do you call it? The return episode, if you will, of the
Yes.
return of the series.
Yes.
And you had been pondering if this was, worth it and worth continuing and such. And so anyway, this is kind of a long-winded one, but
Oh,
bear
okay.
with me.
All right.
But if you remember, it was in well, I know this actually for a fact. I don't think in April, the Daisy Egan episode,
Yeah.
they came out or whatnot, and I texted you saying, "Oh, that you know, it had basically inspired me to jump back in." So I haven't done any acting, folks, in 20 years, not 20 years, 15 years.
Yeah. What
15
was your
years.
last show? What was was it?
Beauty
It
and the
wasn't Beauty and
Beast.
the Beast.
Mhm.
Really?
Not yours, but the other one I did.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That was 2009, so over 15
Wow.
years ago. Last
Oof.
professional thing I did was close to 20 years ago.
Damn.
So anyway, I decided to jump back in and had my first audition. What, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah. About that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if I would say, yeah, this is all to say that uh I think it is worth it, and that it's already, my hot take is that you've already had an effect. And so I was out for my first audition in fucking 20 years, uh 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have without listening to this.
Wow. Well, okay. That's all you
So
need then. Because no, I really appreciate that. But it's good to know that the show, and especially Daisy Egan, who I love, I'm actually set to talk to Daisy just casually, socially, which is really cool. In a couple of weeks.
nice.
Yeah, no interview, just Daisy and Landon talking. Um, so I'm glad that we did have an effect for you. And I do know that I've heard back from audience members and people that listen saying, we missed the show, or are you going to do more? And that meant a lot to me too. And so, as you know, because you're now the associate producer, we are building a team to make this bigger and better, and hopefully, you know, um be able to make money from this, so I don't have to ever hear the words "we went another way" ever again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a High School Musical song.
Uh, it's going to be something. It's going to be the story of my life. It's going to be like when I do my one woman show, there'll be a song written by Pasek and Paul called "We Went Another Way."
Mm-hmm.
I can hear it now.
Because they're doing
Let
it on a typewriter.
All right, so let's close out this hot takes. And it was great to have you again, AJ. We missed you, and hopefully we can do this a lot more.
Yes. One last thing.
Yes.
Orville Peck, who
Oh,
is
yeah.
in Cabaret right now.
Yeah,
I don't know if he takes his mask off or not.
he
But anyway,
does.
he does. Yeah, that's what I thought. So he found, anyway, they announced a Street Fighter movie today. He's playing Vega, who wears a mask. he, anyway, he keeps finding these fucking roles where that's letting him keep his mask on.
Next,
And
it's going to
so,
be like Masquerade or Phantom of the Opera or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh man, oh.
We
The
got to
next,
talk
yeah,
about
when
that
they make that,
Masquerade.
yeah, when they make the next Phantom movie, I fucking bet you, yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
Anyway, oh shit, I
All right,
just
let's
smacked
close
into
out
some
this
shit.
segment. And thanks again, AJ, for joining us and
Thank
for
you
your
for
hot
having
takes.
me.
You bet.
I have no fucks left. No, no. I have no fucks, right? Oh, oh. I have no fucks left. No, no. So fuck off. I'm busy. Bye, bye. Piss off. Not sorry. Don't cry.
Well, that's a wrap. The end of another amazing episode of No Fucks Left. And instead of learning things today, although I hope you did learn things, I feel we had some major breakthroughs. I have manifested what I hope my future will be. And I have, for the first time, really ever, and in a very, very long time, I have asked for help. I have made myself vulnerable, and I hope that I reap the benefits so that you and my community and my family and my friends can reap the benefits as well. So until next week, let's all be sure to take care of each other. Importantly, take care of yourself. And always, say it with me, lead with love. Till next week, ciao.
No, no, I have no fucks, right? Oh, oh, I have no fucks left. No, no, so fuck off, I'm busy, bye, bye. Piss off, not sorry, don't cry.
No Fucks Left is presented by Transplendent Media. The creator and host is Landyn Shaw. Associate producer, AJ Luber. Media manager, Ryan Balmer. And our graphics and logo design is from Wally Spence.
No, no, I have no fucks, right? Oh, oh, I have no fucks left. No, no, so fuck off, I'm busy, bye, bye. Piss off, not sorry, don't cry.